Okay, think about this. You're about to walk into a job interview, or meet someone for a first date, or even just say hi to a new colleague. Before a single word comes out of your mouth, a judgment has already been made. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the unseen, lightning-fast science of how we all size each other up. Let's get into what really happens in that crucial first moment.
Take a look at this number, 0.1. I mean, it's practically nothing, right? A single blink of an eye is actually 3 times slower than this. So what is it?
You guessed it. Seconds. 1/10 of a second. Research shows that is the entire window you get to make a first impression. In less time than it takes to snap your fingers, a total stranger has already formed a pretty solid opinion about you. It's an incredible and, yeah, maybe a little terrifying piece of our human psychology.
So what on earth is happening in that split second? Well, your brain, and the brain of the person you're meeting, is running this incredibly fast program, making snap judgments on some really fundamental parts of your character. And this isn't something you choose to do, it's a deeply wired, totally automatic process.
And what's wild is just how deep these judgments go. We're talking about core personality traits here. And get this, of all these, studies show that trustworthiness is the one we figure out the fastest, often in just 100 milliseconds. It's basically our brain's ancient survival alarm kicking into gear, asking that one critical question, friend or foe? This quote from Alexander Todorov at Princeton just nails it. This whole process isn't some flaw in our thinking, it's a feature, one that's been sharpened over millions of years of evolution. The ability to make a snap call about a stranger's intentions could literally mean the difference between life and death. It's a reflex, pure and simple. Okay, so if these judgments happen in a flash, what are they even based on? Well, a huge part of the answer lies right in our faces. We are constantly and totally unconsciously decoding these tiny facial cues to come up with these big, sweeping ideas about who someone is. Just look at this. It's fascinating how our brains create these little shortcuts. Someone with what we call a baby face, rounder features, bigger eyes, is often seen as more trustworthy. A mouth that curves up at the corners, that signals approachability. This all feeds into what psychologists call the beautiful is good effect, which is this totally unfair bias where we just assume attractive people must have better personalities. And if you think this is just some minor psychological quirk, think again. There's this one incredible study where people were shown photos of political candidates for just 100 milliseconds. Their instant judgments on which candidate looked more competent actually predicted the real election winner about 70% of the time. That shows you these microsecond impressions have massive real-world consequences. So beyond the fixed features of a face, there's another incredibly powerful signal we're always sending: eye contact. It is one of the most potent tools we have in our nonverbal toolkit, and it can create an immediate and really profound psychological connection. And the difference is just stark. On a gut level, direct eye contact flips on all these positive associations and an approach motivation in our brains. It says, I'm engaged, I'm interested. On the flip side, looking away can make someone feel ignored or shut out, and it triggers an avoidance response. Our bodies even get in on the act. Direct eye contact literally increases our physiological arousal.
Okay, so we're making all these judgments about others, but what about the story we tell ourselves? See, after a first meeting, a lot of us fall into this trap, this really common and surprisingly pessimistic cognitive bias.
It's called the liking gap. We walk away from a chat and we just replay every awkward pause, every time we stumbled over a word, and we convince ourselves we made a terrible impression. We are our own worst critics. But in reality, study after study shows that the other person almost always liked us way more than we think they did. So, just think about the last new person you met. You probably spent way too much time worrying about what they thought of you, right? Well, the research suggests you can relax a little. The liking gap is real, and it means you probably made a much better impression than your inner critic is giving you credit for. Now, this is where it gets really, really interesting. First impressions aren't just passive observations that we make. They actually go on to shape the entire interaction that follows, often creating this powerful, self-reinforcing loop. This is the self-fulfilling prophecy in action. Your initial belief, the one you formed in that first 10th of a second, changes how you act. If you think someone seems friendly, you'll be more open and warm towards them. And in response, they're probably going to be friendly right back, which then cements your original belief. You basically created the reality you first perceived. And of course, this works in reverse for negative impressions too. So what's powering this loop? It's a little thing called confirmation bias. Once our brain makes that snap judgment, it unconsciously starts looking for evidence to prove itself right, and it actively ignores anything that contradicts it. We basically become detectives looking for clues to support our own first theory, which makes that first impression incredibly sticky and really hard to change.
So, when it comes down to it, first impressions aren't just passive judgments, they're active stories. They're the narrative we instantly write about a stranger, but, and this is so important, they are also the narrative we help them write about us through our expressions, our gaze, and our actions. Understanding this gives us a little more power in that critical first tenth of a second. So the question I want to leave you with is this: what story do you want to tell?